Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Safe Lane Portfolio Management Masterclass. I'm happy to welcome you all today. We're excited to have you join us for this insightful session. I would now like to introduce our trainer, Dr. Koti, who will be leading today's class. Dr. Koti, over to you.
Thank you, Gigi.
Welcome, sir.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is doing good. I'm Dr. Koti, having about 25 years of experience and working at various capacities at Garanto and delivering various sessions and transformations on the Agile space. And today I'm here to talk about the enterprise level funding strategy. Let me share my screen. Hope everybody is able to hear me okay and also see my screen as well.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So the goal for today is to understand this mastering the agile strategy for enterprise, the funding part, and this is coming from the safe on the lean portfolio front, and this is all about managing the funding at the enterprise level, right? So LPM is all about aligning the strategy with the execution using this safe. And this particular one is getting very good traction in the industry off late from the last couple of years. And there are some organizations who are able to successfully do this implementation. And there are some organizations still thriving towards getting into this LPM. The high level objective for today is to make sure that you understand the big picture of the LPM course from the SAFE perspective, how it is being structured, how that will be useful to the senior leaders and executives in the organization. And in this particular LPM, it all starts with understanding the lean portfolio management. And then they are going to talk about the strategic vision at the enterprise level and how this portfolio strategy and vision are aligned. And then how any organization is going to implement that vision into reality through something called epics. And how do you fund these epics? How do you convert them into market realization? And how do you fund your enterprise money at various buckets in terms of your portfolios and the products and projects? How that funding can be done more innovatively? And how do you manage this flow of value from the portfolio perspective? And how do you do day-to-day agile operations from a portfolio standpoint of view? What kind of governance which you can think about when you implement the LPM? And finally, they make sure that you're also passing this exam from Scaled Agile, where you will be certified a lean portfolio manager kind of, right? This is the structure of the high level from the LPM standpoint of view. Now, today's focus is to make sure that you understand the purpose, the why behind this LPM, and what are some agile mindset and safe principles you need to understand, and also the problems with the current project-based accounting models, and then the benefits around organizing the value, and of course, how the safe portfolio structure looks like, and how anybody can shift to LPM from a traditional notions of project-based fundings. So this is the high-level view we would like to support you today so that you can make some strategic decisions about the importance of this LPM and pros or possible benefits, I would say, by moving from traditional way of life to the LPM way. So this is all started way back in 6.0 version of the SAFE. They have gone to the experimental experience kind of. They have given a lot of guidance, not only just from a theory point of view, very good toolkits and practical based evidence. There are so many things available when you get a chance to look into the accessing the Scaled Agile Framework website as well. So with that, we'll start with one by one quickly. We have another roughly about 50 minutes of time. I will try to cover in another 30 to 45 minutes, a little bit more details about why and how to go about it. And then maybe towards the end, we'll keep some time for questions and answers if you have any, right? So this is the big picture of the SAFE, and where you can see this lean portfolio management at the portfolio level here. This is what our ultimate goal of how do you do lean budgeting here, what kind of guardrails, and how do you fund these backlogs to get into the solution to the customers. That is the whole idea here. Now, why LPM in the first place, right? So, if you look at the structure of this LPM in the SAFE context, it revolves around three components. One is strategy and investment funding, and the second one is agile portfolio operations, and third one is lean governance. And if you look at this three-dimensional triangle here, these are the three things we are talking about. And each dimension is going to take care of certain aspect of this LPM as a whole. And this LPM is a function. It's not like one single individual role. It's a group of people working strategically to make the enterprise successful, right? So if you look at these three elements, are we call short dimensions. In SAFE, there are 7 core competencies. One of them is lean portfolio management, and each of these competencies has got 3 dimensions, and these 3 dimensions are coming from strategy to execution. Now, when you look at strategy and investment funding, there are a group of people who are actually collaborating at the enterprise level to make it successful one. Enterprise executives, enterprise architect, and business owners. So, in fact, in SAFE, business owners is a role. An enterprise architect is the key person who take the architectural runway, and executives are the people who have the vested interest in the enterprise. They could be portfolio leads, or delivery heads, or department heads, or even sponsors. They all come into enterprise executives suite of people. So these three set of people together form a good cohesion and coalition to make that strategic route for the organization. And they decide how to invest the funding. This very powerful concept in the SAFE, how people are going to participate in allocating the budgets, unlike in a traditional way. Once they decide that, they go around operational point of view, agile portfolio operations. Again, VMO means Value Management Office, what we call in SAFE. LACE means Lean Agile Center of Excellence. And again, there are specific roles, release train engineer and Scrum Masters or team coaches, what they call now, community of practices. They establish as a group again. They take care of portfolio operations. And then the lean governance all about how do you keep the checks and balances to make sure that what are the investment we provisioned into the portfolios, is it on the right track or not, or is it worth spending more or less. From time to time, periodically, there should be a governance to move forward. So lean governance takes care of that. So in a nutshell, if you look at the overall LPM, there are 3 dimensions, and which make sure that all the money at the enterprise level is actually funded for the right purpose in the right time to make the right outcomes to the customers. This is the ultimate goal, to optimize the whole funding of the enterprise. Now, if you look at the high level big picture, what I've shown, there are 7 core competencies across the big picture. This will fall one of them. And again, there are some decent self-assessments from the competencies available on the big picture and also in the metrics part, where you can self-assess where we stand in terms of the maturity on this track and what are the ways you can improve to bridge the gaps. And again, you can remeasure. This is an ongoing cycle of assessments available, which you can start in the start measure, baseline and benchmark, and then repeat the cycles kind of thing. So ultimately, the goal is to improve the competency to the next level to make sure that we are doing in the customer-centric models. Now, these are the competencies, what you see some different elements here. And at the high level, this is the portfolio level here, what you see, right? And this is what I just showed in the previous picture also, the budgeting part. And this is where the LPM comes into picture to manage the overall organizational objective. You see on the left-hand side, lean portfolio management written. That is the dimension, the core competency. So the 3 dimensions revolve around this particular aspect. Now, the lean agile mindset and the SAFE principles. Now, if you look at it, after understanding why LPM, it cannot happen just like that overnight. There is a fundamental shift in the way you think and act. In the SAFE, there are decent values and principles. And we all know that Agile Manifesto, where the 4 values and 12 principles are defined. On top of that, what SAFE has done is they brought the lean thinking into the way of life. The moment this Agile ways of life from manifesto of Agile plus the lean thinking, together they call in the scaled Agile framework lean Agile mindset. Because Agile mindset comes from the manifesto of Agile and lean thinking is coming here, which will be seeing the big picture from end to end, where the customer is having an idea till they realize that value through these beautiful 5 principles again. So you have to think precisely about the value of the product and how the value is going to flow through the value stream, how to make sure that that value is uninterrupted, and finally, the customer should be able to pull the value as and when they need, and we continue to strive for perfection over a period of time. So these are again logically step-by-step approach, wherein our ultimate goal is to maximize the value to the customers. This is the lean thinking all about from a safe point of view by merging or amalgamation of both Agile Manifesto and lean principles. Now, if you look at this slide, there are 10 principles from a safe point of view, and these 10 principles are known as lean agile principles to support that lean mindset. All the way from first principle, taking an economic view, till organizing around value, there are 10 principles. Now, if you look at some of the things written in blue in color, some of them are black in color. While everything is important in the overall value delivery, there are certain aspects which are quite obvious to the lean portfolio management team. And strategically, they need to think differently. Some of these principles are directly impacting there. That's the reason we've shown some different coloring here, while everything is important. Now, whichever is more important and influencing this lean agile leaders in this LPM's area, we are going to talk about some of those things. Now, if you look at taking an economic view, there is nothing like free, right, on the planet. Everything comes with a cost. There is no charity. Anything and everything what we do, we should always look for return on time investment more than return on investment. So how do you take that one step at a time toward the success? And how do you divide and conquer various aspects of the features to the customer? And how do you get early feedback and faster delivery? That's all comes from the taking an economic view. And we need to lay down long-term objectives, short-term goals, and we need to start tracking towards that working systems. The more you reduce the interruptions in the way of flow of value, the better for the customers to see the benefits sooner. And also, we have to make sure that no one wanted to become command and control center of the powerhouse, where you are limiting the ability or empowerment of people to make decisions. We call that concept is decentralized decision making. Enable and empower the people who can make the decisions to reduce the turnaround time. And also, gone those days of project centric models. Now everybody is talking about product based mindset, where the value is the ultimate focal point for every customer. So, how do you organize around that? How do you want to move away from the project kind of centric mindset? So, these principles further drive anybody is following this particular framework. On the website, again, if you go to scaledagileFramework.com, you will find very good detailed explanations, and each of these things are hyperlinked. You can go and drill down, and you can go to the extent whatever the information you wanted to explore more on each of these principles as well. Now, if you look at the general way of life, when we are talking about LPM and the SAFE principles, anybody may question, okay, what is the problem currently? And why do you even care about it? So this is where we are trying to showcase what are the problems with the project-based accounting today in the so-called traditional world, right? So these are the cost center models. Now, if you might have understand about the standard notions of project, so there are cost centers, and these cost centers are associated to some kind of so-called project managers, and each one of them gets some kind of funding in the beginning of the year. They start executing their portfolio of projects, And as and when they see there is a drift in the game, they try to adjust the levers. And again, lot of the cost center models, I'm sure you might be knowing. If you go and ask any project manager today, hey, Mr. X, I am falling short of some money. Can you please owe some money to me for this project to run? Otherwise, I'll be in a big soup. Do you think any project manager will give the money to other project manager? It is just impossible, right? So even I may say that even I am in the same state of affairs. Even I need money because unfortunately all these things are running under P and L model, profit and loss kind of model. You get some money, you get some job done. Look for the dynamics of difference, how much cost you are saving, and game runs like that. Ultimately, the goal of value creation is left behind, and everybody run behind, making some profit and loss sometimes on the paper, if not on the real. And there is a clear insecure feeling to the project managers. If they lose some money, they may feel like in the next funding cycle they will not get that money because you don't need that money anymore. So everybody wanted to consume money forcefully, and they get into some kind of sunk cost model. And even if something is delaying because of any reason, the entire project is going to delay, which has got the ripple effect of the further course of actions. At the end, customers are getting into more troubles. So these project centric models are not working in most of the cases. I am not telling 100% will not work, but this is the ground reality. Now, if you look at the delay in the project timelines in terms of standard iron triangle, the change of uh, you know technology could be scope or even team. Reasons could be so many. Why something is delayed? Nobody cares, right? Customer, why it is delayed? The question is, I don't want to see any delay. More than I'm interested about the reasons for delay, right? There is a concept of cost of delay. The more you do the cost to the market, I mean the speed to market, it will get into destroy, right? And customers will get dissatisfaction. If I want something today evening, I expect to get that by today evening from you. I don't care even if it is late by a few hours. If you do something for me tomorrow morning, which I wanted today, I don't think I will be happy, or the same apply to you. And so customers. For everybody today, time is more than money. So if you don't respect and integrate with the time, that delay can cause a damage beyond our imagination. More than investigating and find the root cause, in first place, we don't want to get the delay so called. Now, how do you get that covered in this way of life safe? You plan certain features because I don't care about project. I'm not running any more projects. I'm delivering product value through features. If I plan 10 features, because of some delay, which is not in my control, probably I will delay some features. It's not like I am not delivering anything. Instead of 10, I may deliver 5. Instead of 2, I may deliver 1. But at least I deliver some value when I plan for certain time blocks. In this model, customer point of view, though I may not getting all the features promised, but I am getting some features which are most important in time for me. That way people are happy. You need not really worry too much about it. And so, in this model, why it is more proven or happier customers is they get some tangible value rather than telling this project is delayed or we cannot do any useful work to the customers. If something is delayed, something will be pushed. So there is nothing like serious damage from a customer point of view because the scope of features are changing, unlike the entire project is coming to a halt in a traditional model. Now, another thing, if you look at the benefits of organizing around value, ultimately, value does not flow in silos but vertically, which means we have a good design department, very good development department, very good testing department, maybe UAT deployment, production, and all of them. Ultimately, all these departments has to work together in the horizontal way to see the end value. I cannot say that I have a great organization of designers. I can do all great things alone. It is just impossible. Until unless my all the departments are cutting across to horizontally, the value cannot be realized. Unfortunately, in the today's more than contemporary in terms of the traditional way of life, these departments are vertically sliced, and that's not working. And so we wanted to bring these people together to make a cross-functional teams and trains so that the value is flowing in a seamless fashion in the value stream without any interruptions. That's where this agile release trains forms. And then obviously there are certain development value streams. Again, if you understand this well, otherwise there's a lot of guidance also available. What a value stream, what is the business value stream, development value stream, operational value stream. There are so many things. But ultimately, in the safe, when you do something, it is aligned to the development value stream in the SLE trains, and they build some kind of the systems. What you see here, this is the flow of value from a loan point of view. If somebody want to take a loan from a bank, these are various steps involved. We call operational value stream. And when you see there are some systems need to be created to support that operational value, we call them as systems which are in the yellow color. And to make that systems built, we need people on various aspects. We need to define that requirement, we need to build it, test it, and release to the production. And we need people. And these are all things what you see in the blue chavrans, various aspects of the flow of value and people at different places together. They build these systems, and finally, this operational value stream can be realized in the marketplace. That is the correction. What you see on this in the safe context value streams is all about. Now, once that is done, we need to understand the portfolio structure point of view here. In the safe portfolio, in a nutshell, we all know from a traditional world, a portfolio is nothing but maybe a group of projects or programs or a group of programs and projects together. They define portfolio from a project management standpoint of view. But in the safe, what we are saying is, as you see this blue chavrans in Agile trains here, a collection of development value streams is called safe portfolio. It's no more projects kind of portfolios. It's a collection of development value streams, and every development value stream is independently capable of creating solutions to the customer, regardless of whether they are internal or external to the enterprise. So you may need to understand from a safe point of view, a safe portfolio is nothing but a collection of development value streams, what you see on the picture here. Now, ultimately, if you are a small organization, there could be a single portfolio possible. If I'm a big enterprise, there could be multiple. Let us example take a startup company, a small new banking system. They may have few hundred of people. They can operate as a single portfolio. Or if you go to a DBS or UBS or any big banks, there are thousands of and lakhs of people available, and they have different streams of business there. They can create multiple safe portfolios as well. So depending upon the size of the organization, these portfolios can be realized, and then you can start decomposing into trains and teams and so on and so forth to generate the value by using the continuous delivery pipeline kind of technologies. Now the question is, how do you shift to LPM, right? So we understood what is LPM in the beginning. Then we are trying to understand the challenges in the traditional way of life and how do you move to this way of life. Now the first thing is, if you talk further in terms of the challenges, what one can encounter in the traditional, one is project cost accounting, that cost center model, what I talked about it. And there is a annual planning versus rigid budgeting cycles. Obviously, you will see that yearly plannings and again 10 plus 2, 8 plus 4, you might have heard about some kind of plannings, which does not make sense, right? When you don't know anything about the next 1 year, today sitting here, we are doing a lot of planning. We do a lot of forecasting, which does not hold good after 1 month, right? And in the process, sometimes the change control board becomes inevitable and also inefficient, unfortunately. And also, when you're forecasting, the perpetual overload of demand versus capacity is highly unpredictable in this fast-facing digital world. And also, sometimes you might have seen this phase gate approach process is even painful, that going to increase the turnaround time. And of course, overly detailed business cases and speculative ROIs, which does not make sense. And most of the project management formulas and the designs, and if you look at it, they all forecast, but that forecast cannot be realizable as per the plans. And this is the universal truth which I am not telling, right? So when you forecast with some numbers, what is the guarantee that that can be realized without the realistic milestones and predictability measures, which is missing in the traditional model. So in the new way of life, if you want to move from traditional thinking to the LPM way, first of all, the people-based organized functional silos should move to value streams. This is where we are formulating agile release trains and we are making a bunch of cross-functional individuals within the train to make sure that the value is flowing horizontally. And we have the funding development value streams concept here, unlike funding project in the traditional world. That is the second shift in the game. So if you look at slide by slide here, if you are being in a traditional way of life today, if you want to move forward, these are the ways and high level things you need to keep in mind. Then after funding, we do big upfront annual planning and budgets in the traditional, whereas in the safe, we call rolling wave plannings and budgetings. They have a stipulated way of structure, events, and again plannings, review meetings from time to time to work on the more realistic goals and which are predictable, unlike a big upfront plannings. And then you have unlimited work intake in the traditional, whereas in the safe, we have a clarity on how to match supply and demand, or how do you not overburden yourself. And again, there is a crystal clear clarity on the mapping those supply and demand. And instead of phase gut approach in the traditional world, we have incremental development. This is another beautiful stuff in the safe, what is highly recommended. And big upfront commitment, because sometimes we just obey the boss, say everything no or yes without understanding the complications. So people typically say yes for everything because that's how the environment created there. But whereas in the safe, there is an initial commitment with an confirmed objectives versus uncommitted objectives kind of thing. And again, we are limiting our working process to realize the MVPs. And once that becomes factorial anyway, we are going to fund more and get more work. So we don't want to commit without realizing the MVPs with the initial less work in progress items. Now, if you look at events here quickly, what are the ways to keep that governance part, what we're talking about? So there is a strategic portfolio review at the enterprise portfolio level, regardless of how many instances of the development value streams. Then we have the portfolio sync-up meeting, which takes care of different levels of safe instances. And finally, there is an interesting topic called participatory budgeting. So participatory budgeting is very powerful, and this helps people immensely to go about participating in those funding allocations. So portfolio budget has got certain inputs at an enterprise level. So whether you're an enterprise or government agency does not matter. You have the current way of life, and we have what certain portfolio budget. Now, if I want to budget for the future on those cycles of the variance we are talking about, you need to consider all these parameters. What are the changes to the strategies what we build, how the enterprise level portfolio is performing, and what kind of changes happening in the market, and what kind of feedback customers are giving, and how different economic conditions are impacting in either way, internal, external to the organization. So once you consider all these parameters, you have to do some tweaks to the budgets from the enterprise based on the current one with all these parameters. Then with that variance, either way, it will become the next portfolio budgets. So let me play this video. It's an interesting video which will give you some insights how SAFE is recommending this kind of portfolio budgeting part, which we call participatory budgeting. Can you hear the audio of my video? Yes.
Sir?
Can you hear my video's audio?
No, sir.
No? 1 second, just give me a minute.
encourage citizen input and collaboration
Okay, now, sir.
public funds. In SAFE, lean portfolio management stakeholders and participants from different value streams use participatory budgeting to collaboratively establish value stream budgets. Participatory budgeting ensures funding for value streams and supports collaborations that help align strategy and execution. Here are the steps to run a successful participatory budgeting event. Prepare the content. Assemble the participants. Conduct budgeting events. Analyze the results. Each epic should have a lean business case that includes forecasting costs for the MVP and full epic. Stakeholders should understand current baseline solution investments, and prior to the event should socialize the rationale for each epic. Business owners prepare an updated business context briefing and outline the strategic themes. Gather the right people and organize them into working groups. Include business owners, lean portfolio management fiduciaries, and finance representatives, product and solution managers, system and enterprise architects, and other key stakeholders, such as Epic owners. Create groups of 5 to 8 people, each with members from different value streams, lean portfolio management stakeholders, and a mix of roles and management levels. During the budgeting forums, each person in each group gets an equal portion of the total portfolio budget to invest. Each person chooses where to invest their funds. For example, if the total portfolio budget is $28 million and there were 8 participants in a group, each would get $3.5 million to invest. At the start, everyone knows not everything can be funded. In our example, there is $36 million in requested investments for solutions and epics. No one person can fund everything they want. Therefore, participants need to work together to identify and fund the best or most important items across the portfolio. Generally, the team will fund the baseline solution costs first. This is an opportunity to evaluate baseline costs and adjust as necessary. As people from different value streams collaborate, the funds they allocate will support initiatives that a single value stream may not be able to fund by itself. These discussions help participants make choices that optimize value delivery across the portfolio. Analyze the rolled-up results from each of the groups. Partially funded solutions and epics are candidates to not get funding. Sometimes, if an item has overwhelming support for partial funding, there's a strong argument to fund it, but at a lower amount. With input from participatory budgeting, lean portfolio management members make final decisions on the solutions and epics to invest in and finalize the value stream budgets for the upcoming budget period. Budgeting this way benefits the entire organization. Leaders get insights from multiple perspectives. Stakeholders co-create alignment around difficult funding choices. The organization sees faster implementation and less overhead. And employees are more engaged in decision-making and understand the rationale behind budget decisions. When groups decide what to fund, people are more motivated to follow through and cooperate on the associated work. Plus, although the purpose is serious, participatory budgeting can be a fun event. People get to debate different investments and negotiate in real time with others. To make it more interactive, play money may be used to represent the amount of money available to invest. To learn more about safe participatory budgeting, read the Lean Budget.
You're on mute, sir.
Yes, GZ, you are saying something?
You're on mute, sir. That's why. It's okay now, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's the whole idea of talking about the participatory budgeting here. And if you look at some of the key components on creating this lean portfolio management roadmap, so first of all, you need to get the alignment in the enterprise, executives buy-in in terms of understanding the portfolio, as I mentioned about what a development value stream is all about. How do you make a collection of these development value streams? And how do you look at the solutions we are preparing, the clients we are supporting, the sponsors and stakeholders? You have to do this kind of a workshop where you create the portfolio in principles to safe definition Then you need to create this LPM team, and you need to create that event cycle calendars and start educating the people and start implementing through the events. So how do you do all of these things? Its first step is called alignment. Then, of course, you need to organize the people into the agile release trains through the value stream art identification workshops. Then you need to strategize by thinking the strategic themes at the enterprise, the vision of the portfolios and budgets. Then you start operating them in terms of the Kanbans and facilitating the execution of the events and preparation of the implementations. Finally, again, checks and balances in terms of governance, making sure that all kind of variances can be negotiated and discussed further. There's a concept called technological business management, a great concept in the governance. And again, you measure from time to time how good, bad, ugly we are doing in terms of the maturity, and look at the gaps, bridge the gaps through coaching and other stuff. Then again, repeat the process. So align, organize, strategize, operate, and governance. Finally, measure and grow is a kind of metrics. Again, there's a whole bunch of guidance available on the Scale Agile website as well. If somebody is seriously interested about it, there is a customizable workshops as well available in terms of implementation of the LPM roadmap. So with that, I would like to take a pause here. If any questions, I would like to take, maybe if anybody want to put a question in the chat, you can put in the chat or you can directly ask as well. So we have another 10 to 15 minutes to go. So I would like to take a pause and address the questions, because the high level I talked about what LPM is all about, how anybody can transition, what is the take of safe in terms of funding and process. I think it's very important if somebody is interested about implementing, you may have some challenges while you understand what LPM is all about. Yeah, there are some organizational dynamics which does not support this, or we tried, it is not working, or what is the best practices, you can think about it. I am more than happy to support any of the practical questions if somebody is having.
Feel free to ask questions. Dr. Proti will answer. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll give few minutes, Gigi. If no questions, we'll try to wrap up, but let's give few seconds if anybody is asking or typing.
You can type if you have question. Thank you.
Okay, I think looks like people are okay. If they don't have any questions, team, thank you so much for this evening to spend your valuable time and with us to understand the overall funding part of this organizational dynamics in terms of budgeting, right? So the session of mastering agile strategy for enterprise, we are going to take a pause here. If you have any further questions in terms of understanding further, in terms of implementing organizational challenges, please do not hesitate to come back to us, and we'll be more than happy to support in any way we can be of helpful. We can either respond to your emails, or we can chat with our guarantor admins. GG is there. So obviously, our goal is to help you to excel in your way forward. So once again, thanking for your precious time to spare with us tonight, and take care and stay safe, and do not hesitate to come back us in future if you have any questions on this track. Thank you so much. Thank you,
so
Jizzy, for
much.
your time.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Proti.